Welcome to the programme. Turkey's highest court has decided not to ban the ruling AK party. It had been accused of pursuing an Islamist agenda in violation of Turkey's strictly secular system.
Well, the Constitutional Court did, however, impose a fine on the AK party for undermining Turkey's constitution. Huda Abdelhamid was at the court in Ankara when the decision was announced.
It was a close call for the AK party and Prime Minister Erdogan, but they have survived the storm. The punishment is they will have to return half of the state funding granted to political parties in this country to the Treasury. However, the debate here in the country has not ended, and the AK party now has more than ever to be extremely careful not to alienate again those who still could suspect it has a hidden agenda and it wants to Islamize the society in this country. That means it wants to undermine really the secular fundamentals of this country, which were set by Atatürk and for many Turks are completely untouchable. Now that is the challenge for Prime Minister Erdogan and the AK party. Any statement, any wrong step in one direction could lead to another storm here, another political storm, and at the moment this country does not need it. For the past 4 months, the whole political and economical life was nearly as at standstill. This closure case has had a huge impact on business, on people, and has created an enormous atmosphere of uncertainty. It will dissipate in the days to come, but the deep suspicions will remain there, and the Prime Minister knows that perfectly well. Huda Abdelhamid, Al Jazeera, Ankara.
He evaded arrest for more than a decade. Now the UN's chief war crimes prosecutor for the former Yugoslavia, Serge Bramert, says it could be months before suspected war criminal Radovan Karadzic goes on trial.
Yes, the former Bosnian Serb leader is in the custody of the UN tribunal at The Hague. On Thursday, he'll hear the charges against him, which include genocide and crimes against humanity. We'll be going live to the tribunal in a moment, but first Harry Smith has the latest from The Hague.
It's been a long road to justice. There is still a long way to go, but Radovan Karadzic came another step closer as the aircraft carrying him from Belgrade made a dawn touchdown at Rotterdam airport. Hidden from view in an airport hangar, the former leader of the Bosnian Serbs was transferred to one of 2 waiting helicopters. An armed escort riding shotgun in the other. They were taking no chances with the final stage of this transfer. Minutes later, in the skies above a quiet Hague suburb, the helicopter carrying Karadzic slipped over the walls of the high-security prison to land on the roof of the United Nations detention centre. This will be Karadzic's home for the next few years. Along with 37 other detainees from the former Yugoslavia, he will occupy a cell measuring 5 meters by 3. He will be free to mix with the others, some of whom he will already know. He will have access to television, newspapers, a computer, and everything he needs to prepare his defence to some of the most serious charges anyone in Europe has faced since the end of the Second World War. His arrival was watched by the world's media, but it's likely to be a day or so yet before any of us catch a sight of Radovan Karadzic himself. Once the authorities here are satisfied that he's read and understands this 17-page indictment, he'll be taking the short journey to the International Tribunal. At this initial hearing, he will not be asked to enter a plea, but if he fails to do so within 30 days, the judges will enter one for him of not guilty. That first appearance will be in court number 1 in the top security tribunal building, the same court where Slobodan Milosevic began his marathon legal battle, which ended without reaching any conclusion when he died 2 years ago. The chief prosecutor in the Karadzic case says they plan to avoid the long delays and frequent stoppages which dogged the Milosevic trial.
Do not expect a trial taking only a very short period, but we are fully aware of the importance to be efficient in this regard. The tribunal has, of course, learned from past experiences, and in terms of trial management, I'm confident.
But the authorities here are conscious that this is a big test for them. Despite sentences already handed out for war crimes in the former Yugoslavia, none of the leaders has yet been brought to justice. The world will be watching this trial closely. Harry Smith, Al Jazeera, in The Hague.
Well, joining me now is Olga Kavran, a spokeswoman for the prosecutor for the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. Thank you for joining us live on Al Jazeera. As Harry Smith said in that report, and as we've been hearing all day, Karadzic will appear in front of the tribunal to hear those charges laid in front of him over the so-called crimes in Yugoslavia. But tell us about the procedure. What can he expect to see and hear when he goes into court?
Well, he will appear tomorrow before the judges in what we refer to as an initial appearance of the accused, where the judges will assure themselves that he has been advised of his rights, that he has a lawyer if he wishes to have one, and that he understands the charges brought against him. He will be given an opportunity to enter a plea if he wishes to do so. He can also do that within the next 30 days.
There are many issues at play here. One of them is the duration of the trial. The other one, as you mentioned, is whether Karadzic decides to defend himself or bring in lawyers. From your previous experience with the Milosevic trial, what lessons has The Hague learnt?
Well, there are many lessons that the tribunal, the Office of the Prosecutor, has learned through all of its proceedings. In the last 15 years, many proceedings have been conducted. You mentioned the proceedings against Mr. Milosevic. There were certainly many factors at play. Some of the key factors that made the trial quite as long as it was had to do with the fact that he was representing himself in combination with the fact that there were health issues in his case. And this led to the situation in which the trial was held only 3 half days every week, that there were many breaks during the trial, some of them lasting weeks, some of them even months, to allow the accused to rest. All of these factors really greatly contributed to the length of the trial, which, as you rightly pointed out, was over 4 years. And we certainly hope that can be avoided in the trial against Mr. Karadzic.
Of course, Mr. Karadzic is in custody now, and the prosecutor, Serge Bramec, did say that he certainly has not taken his eye off the main players in the former Yugoslavia. What is now going to happen to people like Mladic and Hague, who are still on the run?
Well, the fact that Mr. Karadzic was, in fact, arrested and brought into custody after 13 years does say that fugitives will be arrested. It is an important day in that respect for the victims who have been waiting for this day for over 13 years. It is very important for international justice because it does show that nobody is beyond the reach of the law.
And of course, the prosecutor was quite vocal in his praise for the Serbian authorities. Was that a surprise to many people that were sitting in that press conference, considering Serbia had been criticised for not doing enough to try and catch the perpetrators of the crimes during the Yugoslav civil war?
Well, the prosecutor did say that this was a milestone in cooperation. He also called it a major achievement. And he congratulated the Serbian authorities, especially the National Security Council, the Action Team for the Tracking of Fugitives, and the Office of the War Crimes Prosecutor in Belgrade on this achievement. He also said that he looks forward to further cooperation so that the remaining 2 fugitives can also be brought to justice.
Well, therefore, the moment, Olga Kavran, thank you very much for joining us from The Hague.
Well, let's go back now to our top story and the decision by Turkey's Constitutional Court not to ban the ruling AK party. We're joined now on the phone by the AK party spokesperson, Suat Kiniklioglu. Let me first off get your reaction to this very close verdict. In the end, the party will not be banned, but certainly the court was sending a very strong message.
Of course, we are very much relieved. We never thought that the case was warranted and the party did anything that would warrant a case against us. This will be an important milestone in the process of the consolidation of Turkish democracy. We hope that the government will continue to perform as it did over the last 6 years, effectively and in the interest of our citizens. I am standing in front of the headquarters of our party and cars driving by, honking. There's obviously great relief in the country, and we look forward for a more productive period in the fall of this year.
But this case does reflect, though, doesn't it, the sense among many Turks that the ruling party needs to safeguard the secular traditions of modern Turkey. So as a result of this case, despite the verdict that was in your favor, what kinds of changes, of reforms do you intend to implement, if any?
party will continue to insist on its drive to join the European Union. Reform packages will come along Parliament as necessary.